He's fine, he said. Are you my Instagram? Oh, okay. So did you see it actually when I filled in the application that I set up and everything is okay? On the other side. Yeah, I uploaded a couple of pictures. Did you get it? There are a few posts in the middle of the landscape. Yeah, so I went from the user acquisition. I went from just any the image scan, and I'm making a protocol for people to go through it because I'm unprepared. So, and there's no power obviously because I'm not on the software. But anyway, I got my pattern. Just you need to know I already tested all the that's fine if they need this course. But then they need to build up another or, okay, Thomas, we are on like 5 minutes before 5 or something. So 5 to 5 is enough. Okay. All right. No. Hey, can you try to move this? Go around. Anywhere around. Okay? No, not that way. No, that's it. Okay? Go up and then go around. Or go down. If you want to meet your girls, go down and you will see them. They're running up there, so go that way. Very easy. Here they are.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome both teams on the pitch, Sydney Olympic and NWS Spirit.
Well, the final day of February is upon us in sunny Sydney, and with it, a chance for Sydney Olympic and NWS Spirit to end the opening month of the NPL New South Wales season back in the winner's circle. Good afternoon and welcome to Belmore Sports Ground, where a big chance brews for both of these sides to step into the month of March with 3 points to their name. Two teams who have overseen massive off-season upheaval, both still finding their feet in the new campaign. Kindred spirits of sorts in round 4 of season 2026. For the home side, Sydney Olympic, it has been a mixed bag of a first few weeks, and split record of 1 win, 1 loss and 1 draw that ought to have been all 3 points last week. And what a difference a week makes. A 2-2 draw in the driving rain against St George City, this time 6 days ago, where Olympic managed to give away a 2-0 lead to see St George City take a share of the spoils. An entertaining fare for the neutral across over 2.5 hours due to a lightning delay, but a frustratingly familiar feeling for the home supporters, who have grown all too accustomed to seeing leads let up by their team. A chance for David Magrone's side to work on that this afternoon against a Spirit FC team who are hoping to pick themselves up off the canvas. The Premiers punished for an early red card last week and subject to a 4-0 smashing at the hands of Sydney FC. A scoreline that perhaps doesn't reflect the promise of the performance, and Sergio Malfarra, their new head coach, will be looking for that balance to redress itself today. Just the one change for either side. Bailey Callahan comes into the Sydney Olympic 11, and new rising star Yorgos Luka, despite scoring in the opening 10 minutes last week, will have to content himself with a place back on the bench. Aidan Mustafi is the man who misses out for NWS Spirit. He was the subject of that red card last week. And it is a welcome return for Brady Smith, who missed out altogether in Sergio Malfarra's side. The premiership winner from last season, straight into the side for a big clash between two teams who would love to head into a new month with 3 more precious points. It really is an intriguing battle at Belmore. Hard to predict which way exactly it is going to go. In a battle between two sides who are still truly taking shape in the new campaign. Just a bit of final sorting out to do amongst the nets here at Belmore Sports Ground. The turf is in great condition when you consider how much rain pelted down on it last week. But from the storms and lightning of last week at Belmore, both Olympic and Spirit looking for bluer skies today. And it's Spirit who are looking to get on the front foot early through Khan Nizam, charging forward with runners to his right. He might look to go it alone. Khan Nizam has his heavy touch taken off his toes by Ziggy Gordon. Good early zip here, as mentioned. Copped an absolute pelting this surface this time a week ago. The game stopped in the midst of that inclement weather, delayed for over 40 minutes. Only for Sydney Olympic to go from their position of ascendancy, courtesy of goals from the aforementioned Yorgos Luka and Marko Arambasic to let 2 goals slip late in the space of a minute. And there would have been a few eye rolls in the Belmore grandstand at that fact, because as much as this side has changed, some things stay the same. Here come Olympic down the right, though. Great cross. Or it's not a cross. Affects me out as well as the defenders did Yuta Fujita. Early ball in, rising at the back post was Bailey Callahan. And much to the chagrin of the Sydney Olympic support, that one is going out for a goal kick in the eyes of today's referee, Noah Moss. Amber Morris and Alexis Turner, the assistants. Ethan Zvargulis is the 4th official. Really light breeze blowing at Belmore today, blowing across the face of the field, so not really working to the advantage of either side. Nice pass from Chris Marks to Kaya Williams, and he does the same with Riku Kobayashi. And last week would have been a frustrating one for Sergio Malfara. They were 1-0 down already at the time of that red card to Aiden Mustafi, which ultimately sent Sydney to the spot and put them 2 clear. But on a different day, it could have been a different game. They had a glut of chances for the likes of Shoki Yoshida, the number 7, Riku Kobayashi, and the number 17, and Finn Ballard McBride, who is up top. And none of them could put them away at the critical moments. And in the end, the advantage of numbers told for the Sky Blues. That a decent cross, though. Punched away, not fully, though, by Orlovic. And on the follow-up, Kobayashi couldn't guide it in for the game's opening goal. Josip Orlovic still hunting his first Sydney Olympic clean sheet since making the move from Sydney United. Arambasic, lovely pass. Good release, it looked at least, for Marcus Fernandez. Arambasic coming up against his former side today. Started the 2025 season as a Spirit player. Just the 21 appearances and 5 goals across all competitions before making a late season switch back to Sydney United. Has relished the new colours so far. 2 goals and 3 assists, including goals in back-to-back games for the 22-year-old son of a gun. Of course, the son of former Socceroo Zlatko Arambasic. As Bailey Callahan goes to the turf and wanted a free kick that never materialised. Yoshida turns and sees willing runners ahead, one of whom is Khan Nizam, but Hong will get there first. Usually a pretty competitive encounter when these two go head-to-head in Spirit's 3 seasons in the top flight of Premiership football. Sydney Olympic with 4 wins to Spirit's 2 across 7 head-to-head meetings. That includes 1 match-up in the Cup. And interestingly, to illustrate that point about the amount of turnover both of these 2 sides have experienced in the off-season, their last meeting, an essential match-up back in round 26 to help Spirit win the Premiership. Harry Keys scoring in the 90th minute to seal a 2-1 win for Spirit. Of the 22 players that started across Olympic and Spirit that day, only 5 remain. And that's not 5 at either club, that's 5 across the 2 11s, across both clubs. So plenty of turnover. Does it produce a result? Not this time for Spirit's new men. Ballard McBride trying to combine with Khan Nizam. Players who have made the journey from Sydney United and the Wanderers Academy respectively. Quite a Sydney United of yesteryear flavour to the sides today. Ballard McBride, Josip Orlovic, Marko Adambasic, all former teammates, as Shoki Yoshida is the man on the march. Can't get across inside. It was good blocking work by Josh Hong. So good, in fact, that it won't even be a corner. A busy boy so far has 24-year-old Josh Hong, second season at Sydney Olympic for him. It's a clever little leave, and Spirit have got promise on the outside, and their cross not the best in the end. In that left-hand channel. Andre Takami, the player who was trying to work the angle into a central area. Well, one header by Cornwall. That's a bit of a haphazard pass back from Kobayashi. Luckily mopped up by Kaya Williams. What has been curious, despite the amount of turnover from a Spirit perspective, is that while so much of the 11 is new, particularly a totally refreshed front line, the system itself maintains some level of consistency. Sergio Malfarra sticking with this three at the back formation that served David Perkovic's premiers so well last season, and it's serving them well so far at Belmore Sports Ground. Khan Nizam on the march. Nizam, good block by Ziggy Gordon. And picked up by Fujita. This is Trosoglovic. He's afforded the football rather easily back to Andre Takami. He's a hard player to get the ball back off. Kobayashi will be lining up alongside his compatriot Yuto Fujita today. Got 4 players of Japanese heritage out there this evening. 20 in the NPL New South Wales this season. It's a country that has given generously to NPL football. Really clever from Aaron Basic. And Olympic could be released on the far side. Fujita marching forward with Aaron Basic in support. Will he look to go it alone? Fujita! It's a simply superb way to announce yourself to the Sydney Olympic faithful. A Spirit mistake punished to full effect by Yuto Fujita, who gets his first in Olympic colours. And as has been the story of their early season, Marko Aaron Basic with a hand in it again. They've been on the back foot in the opening 10. It is Sydney Olympic who get the job done where it counts on the scoreboard. Yuto Fujita already, without 4 games even played this season, is Olympic's 7th scorer of the year. It all started from that clever little back heel from Aaron Basic. Callahan was collected in the central area. The referee allowed play to continue. And Fujita was really clever. Just used the run on the right of Aaron Basic to his advantage. And picked out a gap in Chris Marks's near post. That's the start the Olympic fans were hoping for at Belmore Sports Ground. And it's some level of recompense for Yuto Fujita. He had a glorious chance to score his first Sydney Olympic goal a fortnight ago at Ernie Smith Reserve. Penalty saved against the SD Raiders, ultimately didn't matter. But this is the perfect time to introduce yourself. Good corner to the back post. Gordon had to stretch the sinews to try and keep it alive, and in the end it's comfortable for Chris Marks. Takami just had a task for Kobayashi. That was always favouring Olovic. Yuto Fujita. Been lively so far down the left. That menacing run earlier where he faked out his defender in Kai Williams a few times. Signed from Atletico Suzuka in the third tier of Japanese football, where he actually had the honour of playing against world football's oldest player in King Kazu, as Aaron Basic is using his body well, goes to ground, and it's a confident wave of the arms from Noah Moss. Suzuka point getters, the former club of Kazuyoshi Miura, of whom Fujita, a former teammate. Still going at 59 years of age. He's the former Sydney FC player. Kobayashi, clever pass back to Takami. It'll be interesting to see how Spirit respond. Kobayashi, it's a great cross, but it's in advance of the willing runners. Ballard McBride recycles to Simon Nicholas. Armson. It's going to take some getting used to for the Sydney Olympic fans, seeing the Armson name on the other side of the equation today. Of course, Sam Armson, the younger brother of Jack, who called Olympic home last season. One of the 18 players who departed in a period of sizable upheaval for the Australian Championship Foundation Club. The new era thus far has only produced one win, but it hasn't been short on entertainment. Defending to do here, though. Kobayashi was stretching. Try as he might, couldn't guide the efforts into the goal of Josip Olovic. And while those in the Belmore grandstand will have enjoyed that opening goal, taking the lead in games, it's never been a problem for Olympic. Kimura drops it down. Aaron Basic. Fujita. He couldn't again, could he? He might just, you know. It's cleared away from danger by Grant Cornwell. Fujita proving himself a fistful in the early knockings. Lovely link up between Messrs. Kimura, Aaron Basic and Fujita. And Marks, to his credit, did well to close down the angle. This is a Spirit side we know can score. This is now the 19th game in their last 20 that they have found the net. Do not get held goalless very often in recent times across the NPL and the Australian Championship. Taking leads, not as much of a challenge as holding them has proved to be. And anyone who has watched Olympic in the last season and a bit, and perhaps longer, you know the job here at Belmore is far from done. Callahan rewards the overlapping run of Ben Jarson. Callahan, one of the few faces of continuity this year. Unable to work the angle was Kim Jun-yong. Spirit not able to exact the transition that time around. Talked in the pre-game about frustratingly familiar feelings. This game will be feeling like one for Serge Malfara so far. Prior to that opening goal for Yuta Fujita, well, not exactly battening down the door of Josip Ulovic's goal. It was positional play that they had largely their own way. Caught out too easily in the transition, though. They will know this is a Sydney Olympic side who can be gotten at. And they need to look at Olympics' 2-0 lead against St George City last week. Nizam robbed of it by Callahan. He's been lively so far. Jarson punches it up the line for Callahan. Kim Jun-yong just runs out of real estate. Nizam. Shoki Yoshida returns the favour to Nizam. It's a well-struck cross, but always a curvature that favoured Josipovic. Well won by Ben Jarson. Callahan. Marcus Fernandez, what a ball that is in behind. And there are options to aim at in the penalty area. Let's it up for Kimura. He'll keep it alive. Clever back heel, Trosoglovic. Not the desired contact, and Spirit conspire to clear. That's a clever pass from Armson, a pressure-relieving pass. Takami. Ziggy Gordon is a very experienced customer. It requires you getting up a little bit earlier than that to fool him. 4th season at Sydney Olympic for Mr. Everything. Central defender, head of operations at the club as well. He's the former Wanderer and Central Coast Mariners player. Today his 78th NPL appearance for Sydney Olympic. He and Josh Hong looking to lead a largely new look defensive unit. Cut out by one of those new units in defence. I say that as a compliment rather than a criticism of the towering Jacob Trosoglovic. One of a number of former Olympic juniors that David Magrone has been able to repatriate this year. Been a real focus of the club in this new direction they are choosing to take after the departure of Labano Haliti and their owner, Damon Hamlin. Yoshida. It's the best pass back from Armson to Takami. Lumped away by Jarson and really well controlled by Marcus Fernandez. Displays the palms at Marco Arambasic. As good as he has linked up with his teammates today, he was not on the same wavelength that time around. Cornwell. Oh, how about this from the defender? Amazing run from the Spirit veteran. Simon Nicholas whips in a great ball. Ballard McBride couldn't bring it down. Great strike from Armson, but it's off target. Got a fair bit behind it. But getting the back of the net to bulge continues to prove a tricky task for Spirits. Sydney Olympic looking to build forward here through Fernandez, who's got options to aim at. Cuts it back. Kimura! Blocked well en route by the Spirit defence, who have had to stand tall a few times in transition now. Yuta Kimura, who dazzled with his opening goal back in round 2 against SD Raiders. Couldn't grab himself a debut home goal. He strikes as a player who is going to be in for a really good season. I often see these players who arrive in a mid-season window, especially how late it is now. They're only getting to play 8 or 9 games, and you never see them again. Zolovic will let that one go all the way out. Sometimes you get these players who just come in, they hit the ground running for the final 2 months of the season, and then they disappear. You never see them again. Yuta Kimura was a player who seriously impressed, albeit in a relegated Mount Druitt Town side at the back end of last season. I'm sure there are many Olympic fans and neutral observers as well to know we'll get a full 30-game campaign out of him in Olympic colours this year. Bailey Callahan threading the needle for Adam Basic. Was always fighting against the weight of numbers, or the weight of odds from that angle. Hard to push it past marks with such a tight avenue to goal. But he is continuing to feature so prominently in all of the good attacking work that Sydney Olympic are doing is Marko Adambasic. Sydney Olympic bringing a press here. Spirit able to play through it. Nicholas. The early concession has not perturbed Serge Malfara's men from their patient, possessive play one bit. Quick flag there coming against Kim Jun-yong. Korean felling the Japanese winger Riku Kobayashi. Taken quickly by Spirit. Takami picks a really nice ball. Kobayashi, can he do the same? He could actually, but not the best of contacts from Khan Nizam. Kaya Williams gets Spirit moving swiftly. Cornwell is a lucky boy. Played that straight into the midriff of Aaron Basic, who is ploughing a lone furrow atop the Olympic formation at the present moment. Good exchange between Kobayashi and Ballard McBride. And again, can Kobayashi pick out a teammate this time? It's a momentary scramble for Orlovich, but repetition of an ever-present problem so far in the opening half hour for Spirit. Plenty of crosses in from the flanks. Almost all of them finding the gloves of Josip Orlovich. The Sydney Olympic have scored 9 goals this season from 7 different players already. For context, 9 different goal scorers all year last year in NPL New South Wales. Spirits have scored just the 3. Refreshed front line that is yet to fully fire. Of course they are filling monolithic shoes after the departures of Michael Conestabo to Apia, Takumi Afuka to the Sutherland Sharks, and Iwakubo to Southeast Asia in the final rounds of last season. And with them went 15, 13 and 18 goals respectively. So the question remains in 2026, who will be the player or players to step in to that attacking mantle? Brady Smith buys a bit of time for the Spirit defense. Marcus Fernandez shielded it away from him. Kim Jun-yong. Sydney Olympic taking a chance to play possession. And no sooner have I said that as Siggy Gordon looked to launch it long. Kaya Williams elects to keep it alive. Takami. Oh, he's left that one short, and here comes Fujita! It's not to be a second for the Japanese winger. And Andre Takami is rather given a reprieve for a rare and profligate pass relative to his performance so far today. You could see what Fujita was trying to pick out that top right corner with a nice little bending ball. Actually surprised that he didn't look to drill it into that near post, given that was exactly the spot. He was able to get the better of Chris Marks for the opening goal. And Marks did leave the door ajar, it must be said. Well, that is a scare survive for Spirit. Now responding with some really fancy football. Brady Smith. Simon Nicholas slides to Shoki Yoshida. Unfortunately, Yoshida breaks away with it and tries to test Josip Orlovich. It's a task to which he is equal. And had that shot not have found its way into the gloves of the Sydney Olympic stopper, would have been quick to make the point that it was another instance of pretty possession for a frustratingly nil tangible outcome, which is not a knock on Spirit's approach and style, far from it. Just an acknowledgement of the facts. It's a game that has gone in waves. Sydney Olympic, who are trying to crash some of theirs against Spirit Shores at the moment. Brady Smith to Cornwell, and Chris Marks now. That core of fairy tale premiership players from last season. I said it, the defence is fairly consistent. It's in attack where the real key differences are being felt at the moment. Mind you, Jamie Pachevsky, pretty large figurative and literal loss to that Spirit defence. Good play up to that point by Olympic. Noah Moss decides that it's a free kick in favour of Marko Arambasic. Very hard to miss today in the lurid pink boots against his former side. Will they be goal-scoring boots today? That remains the question. Looking to get into a run of goals in 3 successive games. It would be his best ever stint in NPL New South Wales. Of course, he's been at this level for a couple of seasons now. I mentioned the stint at Sydney Olympic. He was in the youth ranks of the Mariners and the Bulls Academy before that. Fernandez. Stuck in the corner against Nicholas. In fact, it was Andre Takami who was able to hold him out. Nicholas will take the throw, and he'll find himself rather hemmed in here. To, of course, have 2 games running concurrently to this one in NPL New South Wales this afternoon, approaching evening. Rockdale leading SD Raiders at Ernie Smith Reserve. Spoiler alert, if you are hoping to catch the belated spoiler alert, sorry, I have just spoiled it. If you were planning to watch it later, Ollie Wigan with the opening goal. No spoilers at West Apia, where it is goalless between Apia Leichhardt and Wollongong. I was about to say at Lambert Park. That's at Concord, I believe. No, it is at Lambert Park. There will be a game coming at Concord Oval for Apia. It will not be today. It's a set piece coming here for Spirit. This has been a point of vulnerability for Sydney Olympic this season. 6 goals conceded, 5 of them coming from set-piece situations. Can Spirit profit? Not yet. Armson. It's a hurried ball. Olevich always favoured, and Ballard McBride, I fancy, was offside. A call of what's the time, Mr. Wolf, if you caught it there, ringing out on the Sydney Olympic PA system. Do not be confused. There will be no stealing of Wollongong Wolves' halftime Wolf chase. To be fair, we're not at the halftime whistle yet. I could be wrong about that, but it's just a bit of hijinks amongst the Sydney Olympic faithful. Have had plenty to enjoy so far at Belmore. Yuto Fujita's goal the difference on the 10-minute mark. Brady Smith. Kobayashi stops and props and lines up Kaya Williams. Bit of a minor tiff between Gordon and Ballard McBride. Spirit are going to look to try the opposite flank now. Cornwell. Ballard McBride raises the arm. Will he reach it? No. Well gathered again by Josipovic. Josh Hong. Oh, lots of fortune for Bailey Callahan. Missed it at the first instance, picked it up at the second. Fujita feeds the overlapping run of Trosoglovic. Good defending. Really good stuff by Kaya Williams. Albeit at the concession of a corner. Set-piece situations have been the Achilles heel of Olympic so far. Now they'll look to turn one to their advantage, but not before a stoppage in play to allow the injured Kaya Williams to receive attention. It's an area of the park they would must be missing an additional player today. Serge Malfara's side already lights on, owing to that red card from Eden Mustafi last week. They are as well without.
Well, we're waiting for the stoppage. Fresh calls around.
One of their star attacking recruits in Costa Petratos. Another familiar name around the grounds at Olympic. Kaya Williams has limped back to his feet. So Spirit forced to move with 10 for the moment. No whistle coming to Spirit's aid, much to the disappointment of Serge Malfara on the sidelines. Up off his seat and gesticulating furiously. Aaron Basic nearly winning the ball back off Brady Smith. And in the end, Noah Moss decides that Basic's efforts to win the ball back were illegal ones. That'll sit up in the wind for Ballard McBride. Not that he could do much about it. Trosoglovic to Kim Jun-yong. Spirit have got that centre of the park really stacked at the moment. Just trying to deny supply to the feet of Marko Arambasic. Fujita. Jarson. Clever from Callahan, wanted to slip the ball in behind for Aaron Basic, but not to be. Hot football back to Marks, who is forced to lump it away. The best backfield pass from Shoki Yoshida. Arrived from Canberra, Croatia. He played and impressed against Spirit in the Australian Championship. Well done by Fujita. Great back heel for his compatriot Kimura, who couldn't find a teammate in the middle. It would have been a sizzling second for Sydney Olympic had it found a willing recipient. Trosoglovic picked out by Ziggy Gordon. It's a lovely sweeping ball. Kimura, and that cross is overcooked. No harm to the goal of Chris Marks. As we approach first half stoppage at Belmore Sports Ground, Sydney Olympic still in their 1-0 ascendancy, courtesy of a first Olympic goal for Yuto Fujita. And after the frustration of another finish without finals last season, of the tumult of their group stage exit in the Australian Championship, are we starting perhaps to see some green shoots break through in this new era at Sydney Olympic? Orlovich receives it hot, and his arm was hammering it down but couldn't do much in the end. Changing of the guard at Belmore met with controversy, met with a lot of commentary from Sydney Olympic supporters. Of course, do have their general meeting coming up with the 24th of March at the Canterbury Leagues Club. A lot of hot button issues surrounding this club will be on the agenda. If they could get to the 24th of March with a few more wins in the column, they might be a little bit happier. And that's a poor pass, though, picked off by Shoki Yoshida. And try as he might, couldn't keep play alive for Spirit. They'll have to make the best of the throw. Cornwell. Takami with a intelligent angled pass. One of those players who is always looking to make something happen, Andre Takami. Just adds an extra layer of quality in midfield. Former Wollongong Wolf and Druitt Town Ranger. Wollongong Wolf, I guess. This is good play from Spirit. Kobayashi curls it in. It was begging for a touch and didn't get one. Yoshida. Twisting and turning and trying to find an avenue inside. The weight of numbers proves enough in the end. Spirit would be delighted to find an equalizer before the break. Looking to do so here. Yoshida. Side-footed clear by Ziggy Gordon. I'm not seeing a fourth official board in the company of the fourth official, Ethan Zvargoulis. So how much time we have entered into remains a mystery. Is it time enough for one last Spirit attack? Nizam. Too much meat on it for the feet of Ballard McBride. Aaron Basic. Another wonderful knockdown. Kimura. Callahan slips it forward. Aaron Basic couldn't reach it before Marks, who was lightning off the line. And that'll be that in an entertaining first 45. And it's a happy Belmore Sports Ground so far. Sydney Olympic.
Sydney Olympic 1, NWS Spirit 0.
Lead the stat that counts, and an
Just a reminder,
even an entertaining opening 45. Yuto Fujita's first Olympic goal, proving the difference at the break. Spirit have had plenty of play, but have work to do to turn that promise into goals on the other side of the break. It's still all for grabs, but it's Olympic in advantage. The halftime score, Sydney Olympic 1, NWS Spirit 0. Well, it's all coming up Olympic so far at Belmore Sports Ground. 45 minutes left to play. Round 4 NPL New South Wales action on Saturday between Sydney Olympic and NWS Spirit. And it is the home side on course for a return to the winner's circle and on track to go 3 games unbeaten. They lead with 45 minutes to go, courtesy of a first Sydney Olympic goal for Yuto Fujita. A cracking counter-attack. It's all the Japanese winger power his effort past Chris Marks. And leave Sergio Malfara's men with work to do if they are to avoid back-to-back defeats at the end of the opening month of the season. It was an opening 45 where the Spirits had the buck of possession, but were rather wasteful with their penalty area threats. 8 shots, many of them blocked by Olympic defenders. Josipovic not having to make many, if any, saves, while Olympic were rather more efficient. But Spirit will know that an Olympic lead is not unbreakable by any stretch, as there's an attempt over the head by Khan Nizam. It would have been something special to start the second 45, but not the case. Sydney Olympic have dropped more points from winning positions than just about any side in New South Wales over the last year. So look to break forward here. Great cross towards Aaron Busic, but past his toes. And collected by Chris Marks. 17 points Olympic have dropped after they've scored the opening goal of the game last season across NPL and the Australian Championship. That figure rises to 18 if you factor in this year, of course. 2-0 up last week. 2-2 draw at the full-time whistle. So that's the vulnerability Spirit will look to exploit. It's the Achilles heel Olympic will be out to cover as they search for a win. And the first clean sheet in a long time. But here comes Shoki Yoshida into the legs of Josipovic, who has now been called into action with a save to stop a shot rather than a cross. Now Serge Malfara's men emerge from the break will be instructive. That link up not able to be exacted by Shoki Yoshida and Sam Armson. Spirit can get their equalizer early. You know how much bounce back ability they've shown in their short stint in the top flight. Often experts of the late and dramatic, as they were in their only ever win here in NPL New South Wales era since their promotion, which came in the Australia Cup preliminary rounds. 3-1 winners after extra time back in 2024. 1-0 down before Jared McKinley brought them level in the 74th. Jesse Michelle and Noah Peacock both getting the job done in extra time. But a second for Olympic will make the molehill a mountain. Bailey Callahan slides the ball inside. Trosogovic barges her way through. The lights slowly starting to trip their way on at Belmore Sports Ground. They'll become more prominent as this second half goes on. Aaron Basic misses it. So to Kimura. He's lumped away by Simon Nicholas. Spirit have had a tricky time finding a presence to meet balls like that. Yoshida directing the movers in front of him. Great return pass from Ballard McBride. Shoki Yoshida! It should have been an equalizer. But that painful pattern repeats for Spirit. All the perfect play in the build-up. And the finish found wanting when it ought to have been there. It was precision play from Yoshida and Ballard McBride, who picked the gap beautifully. They had the Sydney Olympic defence beaten all ends up. And Yoshida, who is one of just 3 Spirit scorers this season, could not become their first multiple. But the worrying sign for David Magrone, the new Sydney Olympic head coach, will be that having largely limited Spirit's threat in the opening 45, now the visitors are cutting through with regularity. They've done it twice as many times already in the second half as they did the first. Nizam nipped in the bud by Ben Jarson. It's a new coach, largely new players. David Magrone would not be wanting to let this leaky lead tendency of Olympic to linger in the new season. Kaya Williams. Kobayashi makes the run ahead of Williams. Takami. Sergio Malfara charging up the touchline. Great strike on the turn. The shot off the post. Nizam with a swing and a miss. And can't fire home on the cutback. A corner coming for Spirits. And Sydney Olympics' 1-0 lead is hanging on at the moment. It was a snapshot from Armson, firmly struck. It spanked the post. And all of a sudden, Josip Orlovic, who had not a save to make in the first half, is a busy and nervous figure. Yoshida's corner won by a Spirit head, but launched clear on the second instance. Spirit have done everything but score. In the last 130 odd minutes of football. No goals last week in that 4-0 defeat to Sydney FC, despite firing wide, forcing saves, hitting woodwork. The story the same so far in this second half. Aaron Basic picks the gap. Mark second guess, the huge chance for Olympic. He's round the keeper for Jita. And it's a heroic day-saving block. Simon Nicholas rescues his side after playing Olympic onside. Ball bent in, marks came and gathered. This game has opened up in the second 45. You feel there are more goals on the way. The crucial question is for whom? Takami. It goes from one end to the other. Andre Takami. Kobayashi his targets. And now the cutback. Armson, clever feints. Shoki Yoshida! It's over the line and in. And Spirit finally have their equalizer. Shoki Yoshida, the player who had looked most likely and burned a golden earlier chance, gets it done this time around, and it is back square at Belmore. And another lead, frustratingly slipping away for Sydney Olympic, having gone within inches of making it 2 a minute ago. How big now does that block from Simon Nicholas look? And you can't help but feel on the evidence of the first 10 minutes of this second half that may not be the last goal we see, without wanting to jinx it. And Serge Malfaro will feel that that is just reward for the amounts of unrewarded opportunity in recent halves. Kaya Williams, could Spirit turn it on its head here? It's not cleared by Callahan, who can only poke it to his own advantage. Jarson. Nice little disguise pass. Aram Basic battling with Brady Smith. Fernandez fires it in. It's cleared by Simon Nicholas. Drosoglovic. Every attack at the moment looks like it could produce a goal-scoring opportunity. Ballard McBride. Yoshida. Khan Nizam. Hong able to win it back for Olympic. There's no one home on the right flank. The ball's going to be coming straight back. It's the 21st game since the start of last season that Olympic have scored the opening goal. They have only gone on to win 11 of those games. Or rather 12 of those games. 5 have become draws, 4 have become losses. Simon Nicholas, a well-intentioned ball, no one home to get on the end of it. This would be a 19th point drop for Olympic. A test of character here at Belmore, as Fujita ambles his way towards goal, gets in the tangle with Cornwell, who's got some, constructive is a word that could be used, criticism for Yuto Fujita. So Shoki Yoshida is proving himself to be a handy signing from the capital NPL. 2 goals in 4 games for Spirit after opening his account late on against Apia. That goal was consolatory. This one rather more meaningful, because it has turned this game into a real contest. Siki Gordon. Fujita. Trosoglovic marching forward in advance. That is where the ball travels. And Trosoglovic travel is impeded. And the whistle swiftly forthcoming from Noah Moss. Takes a lot to knock over Jacob Trosoglovic, the ex-Sutherland Shark. It's been a hustle and bustle handful down that left flank, bombing on from fullback. His perseverance has awarded Sydney Olympic a set piece. Away at the first time of asking by Ballard McBride. Jarson. Has not taken long for the first half jubilation of the Olympic faithful to dissipate, for the tide to turn at Belmore. The side have responded well in the last couple of minutes, but Kaya Williams restores possession to the visitors. Still searching for their first outcome away from home this year. Only one win all season in the opening round against Sutherland Sharks. It's the kind of game and kind of moment where they would love to be able to call on Costa Petrados. Unfortunately, it's a player, it looks at least, that Spirit fans will be seeing for some time. He's been sighted today at Belmore with the leg in a bit of a brace, alongside Corey Kavanagh, who's also absent. Fujita. Noah Moss didn't like the eagerness with which the Japanese winger went to ground. Armson. Nice clip for Yoshida. It holds up in the turf for the Japanese star, who continues forward. Yoshida, big appeals. Penalty coming for Spirit. And Shoki Yoshida is the agent upon whom this scoreline could potentially turn on its head. The goal scorer for the equalizer has just won a penalty that could put Spirit into the lead. It was a slightly clumsy one from Ben Jarson. Tried to haul down Yoshida, who was opening up a shooting angle. Contact continued into the box, and it affords the chance for Andre Takami to turn this one on its head. He scores! Comeback complete for Spirits. Andre Takami making no mistake from the penalty spots. And that familiar, frustrating feeling for Sydney Olympic lingers again. It is another lead. Coughed up. And it is an almighty second half bounce back from Sergio Malfara's visitors, who have turned a 1-0 deficit into a 2-1 lead in the space of 20 second half minutes. Confident penalty from Andre Takami, who sent Orlovic the wrong way. And with it, scored his first NPL goal in Spirit colours. His first NPL goal in over 600 days. And while it may be comeback complete for Spirit, turnaround secured, the job is far from done at Belmore Sports Ground. But they would take an insurance policy on the break. Ballard McBride checks back onto the right-hand side. Did that come off an arm? Noah Moss says no. Wonderful footwork from Yuta Kimura. What do Sydney Olympic have left in the tank? They were sitting pretty at the halftime interval. There were smiles abound on the faces of those at Belmore Sports Ground. It's been an expression that's been flipped upside down into frown here. And what will be so aggravating for the Sydney Olympic faithful is the speed with which it happened. 2-0 up last week, sitting pretty against St George City, and St George City found 2 goals in the space of 2 minutes to take a point. Shoki Yoshida scored in the 55th minute. After a bright second half showing from Spirit, it took 9 minutes until Spirit took the lead. And we've seen the first substitutions of the evening. Sam Arbson has made way for Zayn Alawalia.
Substitution for NWS Spirit, coming off number 15, Sam Armstrong.
This will be the theme
He was replaced by number 19,
this season.
Zayn Alawalia.
Sydney Olympic and David Magrone will be putting their faith in the youngsters to get the job done, because the story of Sydney Olympics season so far, Yorgos Luka has made his way off the bench in place of the first half goal scorer, Yuto Fujita. And he will be keen to score his 3rd goal in as many games. Goal off the bench with his first touch against SD Raiders. Rewarded with a start last week against St George City, one he took with both hands. A goal in the opening 10 minutes. He gets another chance to show what he can do. Player who's been elevated to the senior side this year. .23 minutes left, a little under at Belmore. For Spirits to seal a return to the winners list, for Sydney Olympic to show that they're made of sterner stuff than this. Great ball in. And it drops into the lap of Ben Jarson, who's hit one of the Spirit technical staff with his clearance. Ben Jarson will be particularly frustrated, because I understand he was keen to cut down the advance of Shoki Yoshida, but it just seems such a needless foul for the penalty. Luka. Across the box to Trosoglovic. It was a clumsy initial touch, but Olympic find a way to make it work. Jarson. Luka. Yorgos Luka. Fancy footwork. A great feeding ball for Jarson. A corner coming for Sydney Olympic. Penny for the thoughts of David Magrone right now. He knows how important this next 20 minutes are, as the corner is blitzed in. And Trosoglovic couldn't make much of the enterprising delivery from Luka. He's already added such an impetus to Olympics' attack, showing a desire to take on players. Jarson resumes his battle with Shoki Yoshida, who slipped in behind and corkscrews his chance well off target in the end. And from a position of ascendancy, Olympic now relying on their opponent's profligacy to keep them alive. This was the case in the Australian Championship. Sydney Olympic prove an entertaining side for the neutral. And a desperately aggravating one for their home supporters. Because Olympics' disappointment aside, this has been a very good and watchable game of NPL football. Alawalia. Chested down by Nizam. Clever flick for Kobayashi. The cutback. That was a crucial touch in the end from Trosoglovic, because the run of Shoki Yoshida at the back post was not far away from being rewarded. Spoiler alert around the grounds in NPL New South Wales. Rockdale have extended their advantage against SD Raiders. 2-0 they lead now, while Apia are also 2 to the good against the Wollongong Wolves. And the first of the evening's games have just kicked off between St George FC and UNSW. Alawalia, another careless Olympic turnover. Nizam! Oh, what a goal that would have been. But not to be. The first in spirit colours for Khan Nizam. Still waiting for his first senior NPL goal. Plenty of threats in his 20 appearances, many of them off the bench for the Western Sydney Wanderers last year. Ballard McBride. Hong was playing them onside. That's not a great pass from Khan Nizam. One thing that has been notable as Hong goes down again, as though it was to tie up his shoelace, but this looks as though it is actually, in fact, more serious for Hong. The
While we wait for the treatment for Josh Hong,
substitution signals were swift from Josipovic and Ziggy Gordon.
we have Apia 2, the Wollongong 0, and the SD Raiders 0, Rockdale 2. And also a later kickoff just over 5 minutes in, St George 0, University of New South Wales 0.
I wonder if this is a hamstring complaint potentially for Josh Hong. It's a largely youthful bench for David Magrone. Plenty of academy graduates out there. Josh De Silva, Brooklyn Malia, Max Luberich, who's made his return to the club. Daniel Wong's the senior head at 28. It appears as though Sam Bosniak will be the likely replacement. And he will enter alongside a couple of other seemingly pre-planned Olympic entrants. The other two being Daniel Wong and Brooklyn Malia. And here comes Sam Bosniak on for the injured Josh Hong, whose treatment continues on the sideline, so we spare a thought for him.
Triple substitution for Sydney Olympic. Coming off number 9, Marko Arambasic.
Marko Arambasic and Marcus Fernandez, the two other outfielders who have made way. It's a curious substitution from David Magrone because
number 23, Brooklyn Malia, and number 35, Daniel
he's not
Wong.
far from making the point that one of the key differences between the first half and the second had been the largely curtailed influence of Olympics line leader Marko Arambasic. Gone from a central figure of the first half to a periphery one in the second. So Daniel Wong is going to be the player who gets a run up front. So a very different profile of player up top as Olympic go chasing inside the final 15. Punts it away by Simon Nicholas. Malia, was he brought down illegally? Olympic fans ask the question. Noah Moss judges otherwise. Olympic know that it will be a very uneasy atmosphere should this go down as a loss in the column. Ballard McBride breaking away. Bosniak with a good covering challenge, but it falls at the feet of Kobayashi. Back with Ballard McBride. Oh, and there has been so many departures, so many fresh faces. You expect turbulence early doors. But this is an Olympic support who demand much of their side as Yoshida continues his menace. Nizam. It's for Andre Takami, who is on course to be the winning scorer. Nizam, more room to work with this time. Beautiful back heel, Khan Nizam. Well, Sydney Olympic still with an avenue back into this game, but it is because Spirits have left the door ajar. Through some wanting finishing that time from Khan Nizam. Outstanding setup play again. Serge Malfaro, regardless of result, will take a lot from his side's performance today. The Premiers have shown the stern stuff of which they are made. Olympic have shown rather the opposite, as Orlovic has to be careful, plays it across the box. And Olympic that time handled the heat rather well. Callahan to Jarson, and now Luca gets the better of Andre Takami. Ten minutes to go at Belmore Sports Ground. Is it going to be a rousing revival from Spirits? Or is Sydney Olympics' second win going to factor late on? Spirit off on the side, so good at scoring late. Could they do exactly that here? Potentially to seal it. Simon Nicholas can only drive his effort into the arms of Josip Orlovic. Olympic live to fight another day. And what will be in the back of the mind of these fans at Belmore as well, is wanting to go into the derby next week against Rockdale with confidence. As Kimura checks inside, stings the palms of Marks. And Cornwell clears. It's only a game that will bring about the end of the opening month for these two sides, but it already feels like such an important game to build into the season ahead. If Spirit hold on, it's a platform upon which to build the rest of the season, as two young talents of Spirit's youth pathway make their way on the field. Khan Nizam and Shoki Yoshida have run themselves into the ground. Thomas Mason and Ben Daru, two Spirit youth products, both on in their place.
Double substitution for NWS Spirit. Coming off number 7, Shoki Yoshida.
Wonderful reverse pass for Malia. Now Kimura, he's brought down. No penalty given. Sydney Olympic, apoplectic. And Kimura, for his commentary, picks up a ticket. And that is one that will require a second viewing.
Thomas Mason.
Kimura had beaten all comers, closed his way into the box, and Spirit supporters, or rather Sydney Olympic supporters, well within rights to ask the question of why Noah Moss has not awarded Olympic a penalty from which they could have struck back. It was Brady Smith who went in with the challenge. The ball continued forward, largely unimpeded, as Kimura went down. I guess the question will be whether the central defender did get a touch on the ball. But on repeat viewings, you can understand why Olympic fans were so fervent in their questioning. Luka. Daru. Oh, Gordon just runs into a Ballard McBride sandwich. Oh, how good is that from Yurios Luka? And still going is the young Olympic talent. Muscled off the ball, and the whistle does arrive this time for the Olympic supporters. Every time he's had open pasture on the football, Yurios Luka, something has happened. It's a card coming out from Noah Moss, I believe, for David Magrone. His commentary has been consistent and too much for the liking of the fourth official, Ethan Zvargulis, who I believe recommended that the card should come. What a fascinating final 5 minutes we've got on the way at Belmore. Wong's ball in, it's collected at the back post, questions of a handball. Those calls supplied with far less conviction than the previous shout for a spot kick. Good hustle by Kobayashi. Scattering of applause from the travelling party of NWS Spirits, who were so close to a mammoth win in the early days of Serge Malfara's tenure. Ballard McBride happy to play the ball in the corner and make possession their friend. They'll host St George City back at Christie Park next week, where the Arctic Circle could well feel Arctic for the first time this year as we head into autumn. Ballard McBride. Kobayashi. Spirit have still got numbers in the box if they want to try and pick them out, but happy to keep their play patient. Olympic needs to win the ball back ASAP. Now they've got the ball back, Olympic. Kimura received the contact, but not enough to attract the interest of Noah Moss. The character and, pardon the pun, spirits they have shown today, Serge Malfara's men, is reminiscent of last year's premiership campaign. Siggy Gordon has gone down. No whistles arrived, and he's a lucky man that Daru has afforded the football straight back to him. All of it did the same. No one wants the football. NWS Spirit last year did only come back from behind twice last year to win. after scoring or conceding the game's first goal. So this would be a comeback feat that even David Perkovic's premiers enjoyed only rarely. Time becoming the enemy of Sydney Olympic. Yorios Luka brings in a left-footed ball. That one easy pickings for Chris Marks. Spirit have managed the late knockings of this game well, but for the penalty shouts. Olympic have had very little goalmouth action. Saru. Jarson. Good hustle by Bendaru. He's gone all the way through Spirit's junior pathway from the under-13s to the first senior deal, which he signed at 17 years of age. Kimura. The sense that if Olympic will do anything late, it could be at his feet. Jarson's header not up to snuff. So heading into stoppage time at Belmore. Jarson. How generous has Ethan Zvargulis decided to be? How much stoppage time will be afforded for Sydney Olympic to chase? It's the mystery tour into which we've entered now. Got to start showing some impetus. Luka looking to do it all alone. Will win a throw. That'll open the window of opportunity. At least it looked for another Spirit sub. Owen Henderson makes his way on in place of Ballard McBride, so a bit of extra defensive rear guard as Spirit look to see out a precious 3 points. Throw
Substitution for NWS Spirit.
came to naught for Sydney Olympic. Is this going to be another lead coughed up? It's the substitute, Tom Mason, who marches forward. Daru deflected and easy. The crowd urging Olympic on. Is it to be? Another lost lead, ending in points dropped. Mason. Daru being told to head to the corner. Nearly 3 minutes of stoppage time have already elapsed. Daru could only chew down a few more seconds. There it is. What a precious 3 points for the Premiers. The full-time whistle sounds on a classic Spirit comeback to end the opening month. Sydney Olympic led at the break, courtesy of a first Sydney Olympic goal for Yuto Fujita. Their supporters expected them to go on with the job. But Spirit stepped up in the second 45. Sergio Malfara's men turning a 1-0 deficit into a 2-1 lead by the 64th minute mark. Shoki Yoshida brought them level before he won a penalty dispatched by Andre Takami that ultimately proved the difference. It is a massive result in the early days of Sergio Malfara's tenure as Spirit boss. But it is yet another bitter pill to swallow for Sydney Olympic, who have coughed up another lead and left David Magrone with work to do. But the Premiers will take the points home from Belmore. We sign off from Sydney Olympics home ground. From myself, Lockie Flanagan, and the production crew, it's goodbye for now. The full-time score, Sydney Olympic 1, NWS Spirit 2.